the repeat, the revisal of the poem. Okay, so the poem that is La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, it is written by John Keats. The title, the La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, it has been extracted from a French poem by the same name, that is La Bella Dame Sans Mercy. The meaning of the line, that is La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, is the beautiful lady without mercy. So the poem that John Keats has written, La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, it consists of 12 stanzas. The 12 stanzas have been divided into two segments. First one is interrogation, the third one is answer. The first three stanzas, okay, in the first three stanzas, the poet asks, or the unknown speaker asks questions to this wandering king or the knight, okay. So why are you wandering so palely? Okay, you have some internal pain, means I could sense on your face that your face is very pale, and it is very sober, but I don't know what's the reason behind your pain. Okay, so later he says that the sedge has withered from the lake, means there is no flower beside or at the side of the lake. Sedge means the flower. Okay, so there is no flower beside the lake, and no bird is singing. So what's the problem that you have? And even the birds are not singing, flowers are not there. How come you are being here and what you are doing? He asked this question in the first stanza, and in the second stanza, the poet or the please unmute yourself. Please mute yourself, otherwise I will make you to stand in the waiting room. Mute yourself. What do you think of yourself? And in the second stanza, the unknown speaker, starts asking questions. He asks that knight at arms. As I have told you that the word knight at arms mean a person or a king who always render exclusively his service for women. He makes his service only for women. So that person is called knight at arms. He says that your face is so haggard and begone. The squire's granary is full and the harvest is done. Here, the poet repeats the same question. He asks the knight at arms why he is tired and miserable in appearance. In this stanza, he refers to the winter season by telling that the squirrel is done with collecting its grain, and even the harvest is also done. These two symbols also refers to the time of loneliness and coldness and grief. Okay, so coming to the third stanza, so this is the last stanza where the unknown speaker or the poet, he interrogates the knight. So here he says that knight at arms, your eyebrows are there is a lily on your eyebrows. That the knight's face is without color and it is pale like a lily. There are sweat and pain in his forehead. That depicts that the knight at arms is sick. And in the final line, the poet says that the color of the knight at arms, okay, face is fading quickly, like how the withered loses its color. So, till here, the poet is talking and raising the questions to the knight at arms. Means all the three stanzas interrogates or they ask, or in all the starting three stanzas, there is a soft questioning method by the speaker or the unknown man. Okay. So now from the fourth stanza, the knight starts answering. Okay. So he starts answering what's the reason for his all loneliness. Okay. All sadding face and everything. Here he says that it starts from the fourth stanza. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairish child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wide. So here he says that um, okay, uh, the knight at arms answers that he met a beautiful lady in the meadows. Meadows means in the midday. Okay, she had a long hair and she had a white feet and passionate eyes. She seemed to be the fairy's child. Okay, fairy's child. I have explained you yesterday that fairy is what fairy tales means, a beautiful stories. Okay, the stories of beautiful lady. So she assumed me like such a way that she might be the child or the daughter of a very beautiful lady. Okay, so this in the in the fourth stanza, the knight or the king, he gives the introduction of the appearance or the beauty of the lady. Okay, means for whose beauty he has fallen or whose beauty made him to attract much. And in the fifth stanza, he tells that what all the things he made for her and what was the attachment he had with her. I made her garland for her head and bracelet too and fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love and made sweet moan. Okay, he says that after meeting that lady, the knight at arm falls in love with her. As a token of love, he gives her garland. Okay, and that garland was made up of intertwined flowers. For her head, he made a garland and bracelets for her hands, and the fragment zone was also created. And there was a belt made up of flowers for her waist. The lady also responds to his love by looking at him with affection and making sweet meon. Sweet meon, I have already told you that sweet meon means, a lady when she makes a sound when she has a pleasurable sex with somebody. Okay, so see, this literature is all white, and you don't feel any guilt or you don't disgust yourself why I use such a kind of a words. So literature, it compromises of everything: love, sex, appearance, okay, and life teachings, moral values. Everything is there in literature. So we have to equally invite everything. Okay. So here, every poem is teaching something different to you. This poem, it tells you that if you fall in love with a lady, if you are falling in love with a lady only because of her physical appearance, then you are a greatest fool. Okay. So here he says that sometimes the beautiful ladies are also merciless ladies. So don't be beyond the physical beauty. Here the poet wants to tell us that don't be beyond the physical beauty. Okay. Judge a lady by her heart. Okay. Go beyond the beauty of the heart. Go beyond, give the value to the heart. Okay. The love which is showered from the heart. So the poet wants to tell this. I will tell you. Okay. When I will settle down with the whole poem and when I will convey the theme of the poem, I will surely convey you what should be, the poem is teaching for us. Okay. So now, the night at night. Okay. The night, he prepares garland for her head and bracelet for her hands, and this, which this garland and the bracelet, they were made up of intermingled flowers. That flower, okay, it was creating a fragrant zone there. Okay, it was the the fragrance of the flower was so pleasant that any person could fall for everything. Okay, so now when he all made these all things for her, she looked at him as she did love, and she made the sweet moan. Okay, sweet moan. I have told you that. Okay, a pleasurable sound when a lady makes when she has a pleasureful sex, and probably they do lovemaking, and also they might have had sex. In this perspective, the fragrant zone may refer to her female parts, which the poet loved and kissed. Okay, sorry, not the poet, the knight. Okay, the knight loved and kissed. Okay, and in stanza sixth, okay, the knight tells her that I set her on my pacing steed and nothing else saw all day long. Her side along would she bend and sing a fairy song. After that, he takes her along with him on his horse. Okay, it was pacing steed, and the whole day they spent time with each other. The lady also sings song for the knight at arms that seems to him the fairy song, and that was very melodious. Okay, and in the seventh stanza, he says that she found me roots of relish sweet and honey wild and manna dew and sure in language strange she said I love thee true. So here the lady, as a token of love in returns, she also returns something to him. So the lady then gives him tasty and sweet food to eat, including tasty roots, honey of wild bees, and sweet gum of manash. Okay, though he could not understand her language, it seems to him that she said, I love you truly in her own language. Okay. So in the last yesterday's class, we have dealt till this. The only till the part of the love making, okay, and how she was returning everything to him, okay, as a token of love or as a token of emotional blackmails. Okay. So now he literally explains the melancholic way of his life. Okay, until now everything was smooth and fine. Okay, smooth and soft, and now it takes to the another way. So what's that way? We shall discuss. If you have book with you, please open your book and keep your eye on the stanza 8. I read the stanza 8 and I discuss. I could not, I can't share the slides now because I have been engaging the class from the phone. So my slides, prepared slides, are in the laptop. I just explain, I read out the stanza and I just explain you. Okay. Uh, have you opened your book? I'm asking you all. Have you all opened your book?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So look at the stanza 8. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full. Uh, what's the spelling after that sighed full? Actually, some student has sent me the clips of the book, and it is quite blur. So I can't read the full poem. Just tell me the line. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore. Is this the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there I shut her wide eyes with kisses pour. See, now he explains, okay, she, relishes me with the sweet roots, okay, and in a strange language, she told me, I love you, thee, truly, okay, uh, I love you, truly, and after that, she invites me to a elfin growth, okay, in stanza 8, the mood of a person or the poem, okay, shifts back to the melancholy. When the knight relates how the women took him to a grotto, okay, a sort of a magical space. The knight associates with the fairy creatures such as elves. See, this grotto, elfin grotto, is a kind of a cave, a mysterious cave. Okay, means it is a magical place. These caves are a magical place. The knight associates this place, okay, with the fairy creatures such as elves. Okay, in this setting, the delicate, fleeting nature of the lady's feelings suddenly erupts with her tears, which the knight tries to soothe with the kisses that shut her wide eyes. Words that suggest that he has fallen in love with the creature that he cannot possess. Okay, so what makes here is that she invites him to a mysterious, okay, a suspensive cave, and she pours some tears from her eyes. And here, in order to uh, you know uh, relax her, okay, or knight tries to soothe her, okay, to soothe her, he kisses on her lips for 4 times, okay. So this word suggests that he has fallen in love with the creature that he possesses. So this is the meaning of the 8th stanza, and we shall jump up on the ninth. And there she lulled me as sleep, and there I dreamed, oh, oh, betrayed, okay, the latest dream I ever dreamt on the cold hillside. So in the ninth stanza, okay, what happened is that it is the lady who lulls the knight to sleep, however. Okay. In stanza 9 to 11, he is engulfed in a dream of kings and princes who are pale, as he at the beginning of the poem, and who warn him that he has become enslaved by the beautiful lady without mercy. When he awakes, the knight finds himself on the cold hillside, feeling the death like cold of his dream and looking like that sad figure the speaker first encountered. Coming full circle in the stanza 12, the knight notes that his experience with the lady is why he remains in the bleak setting, alone and feeling that he has lost the love of his beautiful figure that hunts and blights not only his life but also the world in which he finds himself. So here in the stanza 9, what happens? She pours some tears from her eyes, and this knight or the king, to soothe her, he kisses on her lips for 4 times. Okay, and in return, okay, as a token of love, she makes him to sleep. So to make him to sleep, she sings a lullaby or a sleepy songs for him. So he sleeps that, but and there I dreamed, oh betrayed. Okay, there I had a dream. It was a betraying dream means it was indicating that someone is cheating him, and it was completely a betraying dream for him. Okay, the latest dream that he ever dreamt, and he was then on the cold hillside. Okay, he was sleeping then on the cold hillside. So he tells that in the 10th stanza, I saw pale kings and princes too. So in the night, okay, in the nightmare or in the bad dream, I saw, okay, the kings and the princes too. Okay, in the nightmare means I have told you already. In the bad dream, I met the kings and the princes too, pale warriors, death pale, where they cried, La bella Dame Sans mercy, thee hath enthrall. Okay, thee hath enthrall. So what they say is that in the nightmare or in the bad dream, this the king, that is night, he has met with the pale kings, the princes, and warriors. They were all fit and fine by their physical gestures, and he has met them. Okay, so they all were questioning him. They all started asking him, "Are you a new what is that man to the cave? Okay, is this lady, okay, is this lady, that is the beautiful lady without mercy, okay, has she enslaved you? Okay, has she made you to come here? Okay, have you fallen for her foolish love?" They all started asking him the question, and his answer was mum. Okay, he was confused to what to say. Okay, so they say that they cried, La bella Dame Sans mercy. Okay, and after asking this question, they all cried, La bella Dame Sans mercy. Okay, we all have been enslaved, means we all have become slaves in this mysterious cave because of that beautiful lady without mercy. Okay, because of that beautiful lady without mercy. And in the continuation of that, they also say that thee hath in the thrall. Okay, thee hath in the thrall. The pale warriors, princes, and kings all cry out in the unions that La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, okay, has the night, okay, has the night in thrall or in the, okay, bondage. Okay, line 39, okay, has the title of the poem in it. Okay, so the stanza 10th, okay, which we are dealing now, and the line that is La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, that is the 39th line of the poem. This line, okay, line 39 has the title of the poem in it. So it is the time to translate it, that the title is the French and translate to the beautiful women without mercy. Okay, so here, thrall, the state of being under the control of another person. Okay, the hath in thrall. The means you. Okay, have you have in control. Okay, you are in control. See, the th double e he means you. Okay, hath 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 means it is an archaic word for have or has. Okay, this hath, I repeat, hath hath. Okay, hath hath means the archaic or the old English term for has. Okay, so the means you, okay, hath means you have. Okay, in thrall, thrall, thrall means control. You are under somebody's control. So in the whole crude of union cry, the whole kings, the knights, the warriors, the princes, who all have enslaved by that beautiful lady, they cry in, okay, union, saying that La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, okay, thee uh, thee hath in thrall, means we all have cheated by the beautiful lady without mercy, and now you are in her control. So this is what the 10th stanza speaks about. So this all is happening in his dream, means when she makes him to sleep. Okay, the knight was dreaming, and in the dream he met this knights, princes, kings, and the great warriors. They all, okay, in the, with union, they cried by screaming out that La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, saying that we all have cheated by the beautiful lady who doesn't have mercy, and uh, the hath in troll, means you are in control. I saw their starved lips in the gloom with horrid warning gap wide, and I awoke and found me here on the cold hillside. So here he says that I saw their starved lips in the gloom. So in the gloom means, in the faded notion, okay, in the faded notion, I saw their starved nights, okay, means I saw their starved, okay, means the lips which are waiting for some food, good food, or to settle their self, okay. So I starved, okay, I saw their starved lips in their gloom, with horrid warning gapped wide, okay, with horrid warning gapped wide, means there was a horrid warning for me, like you have been cheated by her, and you also become one of the slaves among us. And they were screaming a lot by wide opening their mouth. And I awoke and found me here. When they were telling these all things into my dream, I suddenly awoke and I have found myself here. And I have found myself on the cold hillside. So now I have found myself on the cold hillside. When I woke up, I was at the cold hillside. Then and this is why I sojourn here. Sojourn means a long journey. Okay, so this made me to sojourn. So because of this, I am here, and this is why I sojourn here alone and palely loitering. And this all made me to wander alone, and I am palely loitering. Loitering means going here and there alone, okay, by lonely. Though the sedge is withered from the lake and no birds are singing. So the knight says that, my dear poet or the unknown speaker, you have asked me, though there are no birds singing and there is no green grass or there is no sedge flower which is blooming, which is not blooming beside the lake, and though it is a winter season, and that is not good for romantic scenes or not even good for to go out commonly. Why are you here and why are you wandering here? You are asking me since many long time. So these are all the reasons that made me to come here. I have placed myself okay on the hill cold side, and this beautiful lady has cheated me, and because of that I'm wandering here and there with the pale face, and I'm loitering from here this place to other place. So this is what the end of the poem. Okay, so this is the meaning of all the 12 stanzas. Uh, just on your videos, just for some 2 minutes, all of you, I would like to ask some questions, not related exactly to the poem, but it is a common question. So, will you please on your cameras for 2 minutes? No matter you are in what position, okay? No one will hit you here. Shraddha, you did on and you suddenly offed it. Please on your videos, at least you could interact with your friends and your friends could see your faces. Tejashwini, are you understanding the poem, dear? Tejashwini, Shraddha, Shraddha, roll number 254. You are not audible. Unmute yourself. Okay. Have you understood the poem?